in your travels, you've had many mentors. And one of the things that struck me when I reached out to you this week, I mean, we talk periodically here and there, but I got caught because I was like, yo, Tango don't usually go live or do this kind of thing. So I saw you had went live, and I watched, you were done with it when I watched it, like 16 minutes of footage. And you started out, it was right after, like, Shock G passed, rest in peace to Shock G from Digital Underground. If you know anything about his history, like, Shock was a big part of hip hop history, you know, not just West Coast, not just because he's one of the first people who discovered Tupac, but Shock G meant a lot to hip hop if you really understand this culture.
Absolutely.
But I didn't know, I knew a little bit about the story, how much he actually meant to you as one of your mentors. And then I watched your live. And there's a couple of things I want to touch on your live. First, I'd like to get just a little bit more insight of what Shock G really, really meant to you. And then I also want to go into something that you talked about, someone in your live talking crazy as you were, you know, on there just, you know, talking about one of your mentors in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? So let's first get into the Shock G thing. And I'd be amiss if I didn't do this. There's a lot of stories about Shock G that are coming out, which, me being on the inside, like, I've known a little bit about Shock G's, you know, delving into, you know, substances, but that's an entertainer thing to me. You know what I'm saying? I did feel like every time I saw Shock, his heart was always in the right place. I didn't always feel like he was in the right place, like where he should be, given his history and the amount of stuff he's produced. But I always felt like when I saw him, it was like, yo, what's up? It's love. If he saw people, he took the pictures, his history, you know, his, just what he meant to the culture, it was there. When you hear these things, like when he first passed away, and then the New York Post puts out a story talking about the other side of Shock as opposed to the good stuff, what does that make you feel like, especially knowing the guy the way that you did and him being one of your mentors for real?
That actually, I'm going to answer in reverse, because that New York Times article, and there were a few other small ones. See, I'm somebody who has I'm pretty private with my personal life, and I'm not a real big name dropper. I don't, I enjoy, I'm the guy at the concert who's not recording.
Right.
I take a picture. But shout out to my man, Major Austin. Yeah, that is his real name. Who's, who introduced me to Shock many, many years ago. I don't even want to say how many years it was, because that's where the gray hair comes from. But, I met him at a young age in my early stages of me being an artist. So that was huge for me back then when I met him. And I told myself, I'm trying not to get a little choked up here. Y'all got to excuse me. But
it's okay, man. He meant a lot to you.
Yeah, man. When I say, much like Big Money said, just a dude that I met that just literally just took me under his wing and just really just helped me see things I didn't see. Like, I remember, shout out to my man Fuge as well. He was an artist back then, while we were doing our thing. Tretch from Naughty by Nature, another guy, and when Shock used to tour and I used to join them on tours and travel with them, Tretch from Naughty by Nature, they was doing their thing, whether it was an old school tour, whether they were doing their own thing. It's just like, there was just so much that he taught me about the business itself.
Right.
And aside from that, there was also, this dude was like, it was so strange because he had a level of peace and humbleness that was infectious. It was strange. There were things that I was doing back in those early days that I don't do anymore. I'll give you an example, not to get off track, but I remember driving Shock around, right? And this was like, Taco Bus just got around, I think. He's like, yo, where can you get some tacos around here? True story. Yes. And Shock, I'm like, yo, there's a space. I didn't know what it was called at the time, but it was Taco Bus. And Shock was just like, yeah, let's go there. And I'm driving, yo, we got to get there before it closes. And Shock like, yo, calm down. I'm like, yo, this is Hillsborough Avenue, man. We got to.
Right.
He's like, listen, man, you're going to end up at the same red light as this dude next to you. I promise you. You're going to end up at the same red light. I never understood. He said, I never understood why people speed on the road. You're going to end up at the same place the dudes next. You see all these cars? I promise you, drive the way you drive. When you get to the next red light and the next red light, these same people are gonna be right next to you.
Right with you.